Hey guys, so let's run through nutrition for fat loss. So if you're looking to achieve a body transformation, the focus of your nutritional plan is going to be twofold. The first thing that we're looking to do is to maximize the loss of body fat. The second thing that we're looking to do is to offset the loss of muscle tissue. Because the thing that we're going to be driving the body transformation with from a nutritional point of view is going to be a constant calorie deficit. Now, a constant calorie deficit is going to mean over time that we're going to tap into those body fat stores and we're actually going to see a change in your body shape. But it's going to take time because when we think about body fat, we've got thousands upon thousands of stored calories that are waiting to be liberated should we provide the conditions for that to occur. But that doesn't mean to say that your body actually wants to do that. Body fat itself is tightly regulated by something called your hypothalamus in your brain, and we'll get to certain points in diets where you'll reach sticking points, where things don't seem to be working anymore, when things have come to a halt. But that's not a constant, and that's truly to be expected. So we are going to be challenged throughout in order to keep a constant calorie deficit, and keeping that constant calorie deficit is going to reveal the change in your shape. So the first thing you need to understand is that no diet can last forever. And what we're going to be doing with you over the next 12, 16, 20 weeks, however long your diet is going to be set up for initially, is we're going to enter into a fat loss phase. Now, this fat loss phase is going to be a series of different training systems that are set up to drive metabolic processes, to drive adaptations within your body. And it's going to be a series of changes to your diet. So we're going to have a starting point where the calories are going to start higher, and then over the course of the diet, they're going to come down lower until we reach a point where we've maximized this fat loss phase. When we've reached that section, what we're going to do is we're going to slowly but surely exit the diet, and we're going to slowly but surely build calories back up. This is to prevent metabolic adaptation. This is to prevent you rebounding and regaining all that weight by following the diet has ended approach and going back to previous eating. So truly, if we set up your phases in this way, you've got a chance of achieving a body transformation and keeping that body transformation. There's no longer any guesswork. You know how your body works. You understand nutrition. You understand training to a much deeper level. So let's dive straight into how we're going to set up nutrition for fat loss. So the first thing that we need to understand is, just as we've said, calories are king. Calories in versus calories out literally are the driving force behind whether we store something or whether we're going to actually burn something. In the case of what we're looking for, we need that calorie deficit so that we're continuously asking the body to pick up the slack by saying, hey, we're not getting enough food from the diet because we've got the calorie deficit present, but we still need to burn energy. We still need to create energy. We still need to support organ functioning. We still need to run metabolic processes. So we need to find that energy from somewhere else. Now, there are two places that we can actually store energy in its reserve, and that's going to be in body fat. That also includes visceral fat and intramuscular triglyceride. And then the second thing is going to be muscle and liver glycogen. Unfortunately, we can't just flip a switch and say we're only exclusively burning body fat at a time. We're going to see a combination of what we've got stored that actually gets burned. If we keep a calorie deficit open all over time, then what's going to happen is we're going to see a change in body fat levels across the board. And that's true for your stubborn body fat areas as well. So if you've got, for example, if you've got belly fat that just seems to not budge no matter what you do, all it means is you haven't been in a calorie deficit for long enough, or you might need to set up 2 fat loss phases if there's a large amount of body fat to lose from that area. It can be done. I've seen it before. The biggest result that I've ever achieved with a client was taking a client from a size 24 all the way down to a size 10. Rinse and repeat of these phases. So fat loss phase, reverse diet, fat loss phase, reverse diet. But let's go back to nutrition. So the key thing to understand is calories are king. That's going to be the key driver. We're going to be controlling calories within your diet, either through calorie counting, macronutrient targets, or through portion sizes. Throughout each stage, you're going to see a reduction in the amount of calories, and that's going to be the mechanism that's going to drive the body transformation and the fat loss effect. Within that calorie deficit, we're going to keep protein relatively constant. We want to support the body with protein. And the reason why we want to do that is because protein actually does a lot of good things to help us achieve the results that we're looking for, but also to help the body run. So the first thing is protein. It's the most satiating food. So when we actually consume protein, we actually burn roughly around about 30% of calories from protein in the digestive system. It's the hardest food source to break down, which means it slows down the digestive transit time of all other foods and helps us actually stabilize your blood sugar. Protein provides us with amino acids that are actually central to how the body functions and performs. Amino acids are required by virtually every cell in your body, every organ, every process requires them to be provided. Now, protein in itself, we all know, helps us build muscle tissue, but it also helps us recover from training sessions. So without adequate protein, we're going to see a stagnation of progress. So protein is really, really, really important. It's coming in at 4 calories per gram. The second macronutrient that we're going to talk about is carbohydrate. Carbohydrates also coming in at 4 calories per gram. It influences lots of different things in the body. We know that it influences energy production. In fact, it's a superstar for us to be able to create ATP as long as the metabolic conditions are perfect for that. If we've got high weight, high body fat, any medical considerations, there could be an element of blood glucose mismanagement, which means that we aren't actually able to get the carbohydrates that we're eating into the muscle cells to do what we want to do with them. So we start seeing a backup in blood sugars that then start to affect, obviously, our health. So we're going to be walking a bit of a tightrope with carbohydrates. They do have the ability in high enough amounts, just as high enough calories would, to actually turn off the receptors that we need to actually be able to access fat cells and break stuff down. And that makes perfect sense because one of the key hormones that is secreted from the consumption of carbohydrates is insulin. And insulin basically lets us know that we've eaten, lets the brain know that we've eaten, that we potentially are going to be full at some point. So if we're sending signals to the brain to say that we're adequately satiated, then there's no real reason to break down what we've got stored in body fat. Carbohydrates, though, they will help us, again, drive training performance. So it isn't a case of just going as low carb as you possibly can. There are actually going to be different systems that you'll follow, different training systems that will have higher requirements of carbohydrates than some of the others that you're going to be following. So this will be adjusted throughout. So if we know that carbohydrates will help us train hard, will drive energy production, then it's important that we keep a certain amount in. So we are walking a tightrope with carbohydrates, just as we are walking a tightrope with fatty acids. So fats within the diet, they're actually coming in at 9 calories per gram. They're the easiest macronutrient for us to store in body fat. And they're the easiest macronutrient for us to store because we don't require a conversion. So if we think about fats, when we eat them in our diet, they get broken down into fatty acids. These fatty acids can get shuttled into fat cells if, again, we can't burn them. So remembering what we talked about with carbohydrates, that we're going to try and burn carbohydrates first to create energy. Oftentimes in a westernized diet, we literally have just too many carbs and fats. That means whilst we're trying to burn the carbohydrates, we end up storing the fats. But if we eat too many carbohydrates and we get to a point where the body now needs to convert those into fatty acids, the body can do that as well. So the conversion of fats to fats is straightforward. The conversion of carbs to fats isn't as straightforward, but it can happen. So we need to, again, keep a focus, keep a handle on carbohydrates and fats. But just because we've said that fats are the easiest macronutrient for us to store in body fat, doesn't mean to say that we're now going to, again, pull it completely out of the diet. Fats play a crucial role in hormone creation, the creation of cells and cell membranes, the transportation of vitamins and minerals, and also some fats can be cardioprotective. There are lots of health benefits to certain types of fats in the diet. So again, we're going to ensure that we're getting just enough, but not too much. So the last thing to talk about is alcohol. So alcohol comes in at 7 calories per gram. It doesn't really provide the body with much by the way of nutrition. We are going to experience some health benefits to moderate drinking. So we do get some vitamins, minerals, antioxidants from some alcoholic drinks. But because it's an empty calorie source that the body can't particularly use to any great effect, we aren't going to feature alcohol heavily in your fat loss phases. Sure, you can drink at a moderate level, and that'll all be detailed in your Nutrition for Fat Loss ebook, but it has to be counted within your overall calorie targets, your overall portion targets. Also, what I do find is that drinking at a moderate level kind of helps you two things. Still perform pretty well in terms of daily functioning and obviously be able to train hard. And then the second thing is you don't feel restricted. You don't have to go teetotal in order to change your body shape. You just have to know that it's not going to provide any great benefit if you're actually trying to lose weight and body fat, and also if you're trying to build and keep muscle tissue. So it's only going to feature in small amounts. And that pretty much encapsulates what nutrition for body transformations for fat loss needs to be about. The focus is going to be on ensuring that the calorie deficit is right at the top, and sure, there's going to be individual little things that we'll throw in, like refeed strategies, like heightened calorie days, all these sorts of things. But generally speaking, the calorie deficit over time, whilst focusing on ensuring you get enough protein and walking the tightrope with carbs and fats, moderate alcohol intake. So there we go. If you have any questions on that, guys, then obviously feel free to ask us in your coaching sessions, but you will receive your own individualized nutritional plan based on whether we're doing macros or portion sizes, and then we'll cycle through your different systems from there to keep your calorie deficit going. But it is as simple as that.